If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back for my final full-length review I am doing for 2023, and I wanted to end the year off in terms of full-length reviews with a bang, because this one is an interesting one. This is from a band I've only listened to one other album in the past, their previous album in fact, for an old video. I don't know if it's on the channel, but I am talking about the latest offering from a one-man atmospheric black/death/folk metal band, Panopticon, with the RIME for Memory, or the RIME of Memory. This comes out on November 29th, and I forget the name of the label off at the top of my head, but this is the latest album from Austin Lunn, who has been a musician extraordinaire in terms of underground metal for about 15 years at this point. And now Panopticon has always been one of those bands that one of my friends, Hannah Klein, always wanted me to get into, and I checked out songs from their album, or his album, Kentucky, considering, you know, Austin was originally from Kentucky, which I thought was pretty cool to be close to where I am. Now he lives in Minnesota, so he's going for more of the wintry feeling within his songs and lyrics in a lot of Panopticon stuff lately. I did check out his last album, Again Into the Light, which came out in 2021. I believe I talked about it briefly in like an Albums I Missed video. I forget, but I do remember checking it out, and I was amazed by just how talented Austin is as a musician, doing pretty much everything: vocals, guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, flutes, accordions, folky stuff, like just production, everything. And it's like, wow, how does he do it? But we get to this new album, The RIME of Memory, and, well, this pretty much continues on where we left off with Again Into the Light. Starts off with this folky intro. I'm going to try my best to pronounce it. I Iron Dringens Hostage Disterit? I probably butchered that whole thing, but it was kind of a nice, like, short, folky introduction into what we're going to be getting next. Now, all these songs are long, and the longest is the second track, Winter's Ghost, about 20 minutes, and there is so much going on in this song. Like, right out of the gate, you get one of the big things you're going to have on this album, and that's symphonic, orchestral atmosphere going on that kind of propels these songs to feel a little bit more epic than they should. But I love how it starts off with these acoustic and symphonic touches with some of that folk element coming in. Although I will say, they really lay on this pretty hard. Like, I believe the first 4 or 5 minutes of this song is just this symphonic, acoustic, folky part that gradually gets louder as it goes. And then you get, like, choirs with percussion building up, and then right into blast beats and tremolo riffs. And it felt like this big payoff to this long build to, it's like, where are we going with the song? And you get this big payoff with Extremity coming in. And I also love how, for a little bit, the double bass kind of leads the charge for a little while. But then you get another big thing that comes through on this album a lot is epic melodies, where it feels like a triumphant victory in battle or something like that, like riding a horse in the battle and winning the fight. And another thing that comes in, not only on this track but on this album, is the way in which excuse me, the way in which songs will smooth everything out and calm down, like this nice, almost post-metal type of structure, where it goes from being like really loud and extreme and then to like very soft and subtle and soothing sounding. And you get that quite a bit on this album. And then you even get a section on this track, Winter's Ghost, where it feels more Death Doom. Like, dare I say, the first half of this album kind of pays a little bit more attention to death metal than black metal, I would say. Even in the vocals, like, Austin's doing really solid death growls. But you do get black metal vocals later in the song, before you get this big orchestral section, and then it ends with death metal riffs. And then it leads perfectly into Cedar Skeletons, which starts with a nasty death metal triplet chug, but with that orchestra over top of everything to feel, again, a little bit more epic. Now, when it comes down to guitar solos or leads on this album, there's not a whole lot, maybe only on, like, I would say 3 songs. Like, half of the album has a guitar solo, but Cedar Skeletons, the first solo that comes in is just ripping with shred and melody, and it's like showcasing that Austin's a hell of a guitarist, not just riff-wise, but lead-wise. Then you get some black metal kind of creeping in here with these tremolos and blasts. There's some spoken word going on. And another thing that comes up on this album a lot is smooth transitions, where it doesn't feel jarring or it feels abrupt. It feels very smooth, like it's all meant to complement one another, like all these sections coming together and transition into something else. Now, the vocals on this track, and even later on in the album when it gets to these death growls, I will say Austin's doing his best attempt to sound like Martin Van Drunen quite a bit. And I'm meaning like Consuming Impulse era Pestilence Martin Van Drunen, the way I kind of look at it. But it does slow down a little bit into like Doom territory here, but then you get more clean melodies with some nice percussion that almost feels proggy. Like there's a little hint of prog that comes in on this album. But then I love this big dynamic shift with these epic tremolo melodies while the orchestra's complementing everything. And then it turns mid-tempo for a bit, and then it ends with some bluegrass guitars. And Autumn Storm, probably the most black metal forward track on the album. You start off with this big scream into black metal tremolos and blasts. But then you get keyboards and an accordion lead into a breakdown, which is probably the only time on this album I would say you get like a bona fide true blue breakdown, I would say. And then it ends with a more calm ending with the piano and accordion to almost feel warm and friendly. Like, hey, come on up, let's hang out together. Like, making you feel welcomed is the way I kind of describe that. Then, and during the snow drought, one of the most somber tracks on the album, dare I say the most somber on the entire album, because of these melodies that come in. It just feels like you're in agony and you're feeling for whoever's suffering in pain. Black and blast beats, but you get these like melodic lead lines to start off. But then it does turn briefly into like a death metal double time groove before it goes back to being very blasty. But then you get doom metal again, but there's some more dissonant melodies that kind of pop up here and there. And I just love how the violin just continues to add to that atmosphere all throughout. But then it goes back to feeling a little bit proggy, where there's clean guitars, drums, and bass playing together in an off time. Almost felt like a raw version of Tool a little bit. Call me nuts, but it did sound a bit like a softer Tool section. Plus an excellent drum solo, like Austin showcasing as well. He's an awesome drummer. And then the closing track, The Blue Against the White, starts off with clean guitars and clean vocals. I can't remember who did the clean vocals. I don't think it's Austin. But they feel smooth, and they lead into like almost a lavish prog performance going on, while at the same time feels like, again, something Deftones would do. It almost felt like a more stripped down version of like the clean parts on the song Changes, or Change in the House of Flies by Deftones. But there is a faint tremolo part in the background, but then it turns really triumphant with the blast beats and tremolo riffs. It was like, yes, it's just big dynamic shift where it just feels like, yes, let's just go out and freaking conquer the world kind of feeling. You do get a really cool atmospheric lead on here, and then you even get a D-beat stomp. So it's like every song has something different and new and fresh going on, which is a huge strength for this album. But then it calms down for the clean guitars and the violins to shine, but then it just ends on a massive and epic note. So yeah, overall, when it came down to the songwriting, man, there's a lot of great dynamics going on here, and just lots of different influences popping up here and there. You get like some of that bluegrass that you would hear from Panopticon early on back when Austin was living in Kentucky. But you also get a lot of symphonic stuff going on, which is more to embellish everything happening. You get your blackened tremolos and blasts, but you get a good chunk of death metal on here, and little hints of prog kind of peppered in on quite a few of these songs. But just overall, the atmosphere is just all over the map. It goes from feeling dark to feeling epic to feeling somber. Like, Austin just has a gift for songwriting, even if pretty much the only complaint that I really had about this album is how the start of Winter's Ghost just kind of dragged a little bit for the first 5 minutes with that symphonic folky acoustic intro. But then once it got to the choir and the drums build, then we were off to the races. But I will say, for a 75.5-minute album, it kind of went by quick. It's almost like you can kind of get lost within this album, but in a good way, which is a good strength for this album. So overall, this album has also made my year-end list a little bit tougher. I am going to give this one 9.5 out of 10. Aside from that minor gripe with Winter's Ghost, this is brilliant. Like, I am becoming a bigger Panopticon fan with each passing album I've been checking out for the past couple of years, and I look forward to what Austin has in store for us next. So if you are a fan of bands like Wolves in the Throne Room, actually the band that's playing in the video, Agalok, Seor, and even, I would say, Summoning to some degree, you will fucking love this. I absolutely fucking loved it. But what did you guys think of the Rime of Memory by Panopticon? Let me know in the comments below. And like I said, this is my final full-length review I am doing for 2023. But as far as overall reviews, I do have one final episode of Under the Radar planned for you guys coming very soon, where I'm going to be talking about 10 albums that I missed, and you will want to watch that when it comes out. And then it's time to construct the year-end list, and instead of doing top 30, I'm going to do top 40, because there's just too many great albums to leave out. But there's still going to be some good albums that are going to get left out regardless. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.